This is ISI number 3 by Amber Askey. In this first lesson, it's a third grade lesson over social studies. The topic is locating cardinal and intermediate directions on a map. So the content objective is students will be able to locate places on a map or globe using cardinal and intermediate directions. The language objective is students will be able to orally locate cardinal and intermediate directions on a map with the support of a graphic organizer, visuals, and peers. So for this first formative assessment, this is a graphic organizer of the compass rose, and this will be implemented during the I do portion of the lesson. Students will be filling out their graphic organizer of this compass rose as I am going over the cardinal and intermediate directions with an anchor chart. This is to ensure that the students are following along with the lesson, along with allowing the students to have notes that they will be able to use during the we do portion of the lesson. Next, formative assessment is the 3, 2, 1 exit ticket. This will be implemented at the end of the lesson or the you do portion before the students will leave class. I will give each student to write their answer on an index card, or they can respond orally depending on their differentiation level of the student. Each student will have to respond to the questions below, which are 3 things you didn't know before, 2 things that surprised you about this topic, and 1 question that you still have about this topic. This is the end of the chapter test, and students will be evaluated on how they locate cardinal and intermediate directions, and this will be implemented during the you do portion of the lesson since this is an independent quiz. Students will be able to locate on the next content area, it is reading. And the grade level for this activities is first grade. The topic is the long U vowel. The content objective is students will be able to decode or break down into sounds words with the long U vowel based on location of the sound and spell the word correctly. The language objective for this assignment is students will be able to apply what they have learned and understood from decoding words with the long U vowel based on location as a whole class discussion with an anchor chart. So this is an example of the I do portion where I would go through steps and break down the syllables with the students and show them how to locate each sound. Then for a formative assessment, the students will have this circle the word activity. This activity will be implemented during the we do portion of the lesson. In this activity, students will have an assigned partner that they will be working with to determine how to spell words correctly with the long U vowel. They will have several steps that they must do before choosing a word, and these steps were also implemented during the I do portion of the lesson. So the first step that the students must implement is they will say each word. The second step is they will break down the word into syllables. Third step is they will determine where they hear the long U vowel. And the fourth step is if the long U vowel sound is in the middle, then it is spelled UI. And if it's at the end, then it's spelled UE. The next formative assessment is a think, pair, share. This think, pair, share activity will be implemented after the we do portion of the lesson, but it's before the students are released into the you do portion, just to check for comprehension. So as a teacher, I will ask the students a question and have them write it down on a piece of paper. And students are in pairs to discuss their answer for the question. and I will be walking around the classroom and listening to various discussions among the students in pairs. This will allow the students to gain valuable insight from their other peers to learn what they may not have known before. And then after they have think and paired their answers, then they will share out loud to the rest of the class of what they had came up with for each question. For the summative assessment, there is an end of the unit test. The end of the unit test is where students will be evaluated on locating the long U vowel. This evaluation will be implemented during the you-do portion of the lesson, since the test is part of an independent work. In this end of the unit test, there will be questions where the students will have to break down the word into syllables, and there will be an image of the juice box where students must spell the word juice correctly. There's also a fill-in-the-blank question for students where they must determine if the long U vowel is at the middle or the end of the word. Bye.